Government forces attack Houthi militia in Eldora, while the rebels continue bombing homes in Hodeidah. The U.S. administration reprioritizes Yemen in its foreign policy agenda. Health Militia excludes students from joining Higher Institute of Judiciary in Sanaa. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Rushan Fouad. Houthi militia opened fire on homes citizens in Al Faza and Al Jabalaya area south of Hodeidah. According to local sources, the militia opened fire with machine guns at homes of citizens in the coastal town of Al Faza. The sources added the militia targeted with sniper weapons the homes and farms of civilians with heavy weapons, causing state of panic and terror amongst citizens, especially women and children. In Eldora, the government forces stopped the Houthi infiltration northwest of the city. A military source confirmed the killing and wounding of Houthi militia in that operation. Meanwhile, Houthi gatherings were targeted while trying to penetrate in Al-Batar. In Ib, Houthi militia occupied an educational complex and divided its areas among their leaders. Local sources confirmed that teachers and students protested in south of the city against this provocative act, in the same time calling to stop such violations. The current American administration has a historic opportunity to change the U.S. role in Yemen, from arms broker to peacemaker. This can be reflected clearly in a number of steps taken by this administration. The following report tries to tangibly look at important role that Biden's administration can play to resolve the conflict in Yemen.
One country in the Middle East, that is Yemen, has already figured prominently in President Biden's repudiation of his predecessor's legacy. Since the very start, the new American administration announced what amounts to a major, if symbolic, course correction on U.S. policy. Biden declared the end of U.S. support for offensive operations in the war effort there, including halting a number of U.S. arms sales to Saudi Arabia. The next day, the State Department formally notified Congress that it would remove Yemen's Houthi rebels from the government's list of foreign terrorist organizations, reversing a decision made by the Trump administration just days before Biden's inauguration. Former President Donald Trump dismissed calls in Washington to cut off support to the Arab coalition, and Biden's moves reflects his administration's desire to unlock the United States from that embrace. Humanitarian agencies hope the shift in emphasis will be a boon to ordinary Yemenis. The U.S. policy towards Yemen has wrongly prioritized strengthening alliances with Gulf powers over the welfare and rights of Yemen's most vulnerable people. The majority of the country's population now depends on international agencies for food assistance. More than 250,000 Yemenis have died since 2014, when Houthi rebels toppled the country's fragile government. Some analysts fear that Biden is squandering rare leverage over Houthi rebels by removing their terrorist designation. Others see the initial listing as an act of sabotage carried out by the Trump administration and a move that would undermine humanitarian relief operations in area under Houthi militia control. For Biden, now comes the hard part of achieving meaningful peace in Yemen. In Washington, the conflict has seen by both Trump and Obama administrations through the prism of the broader Saudi-Iranian rivalry, with Riyadh propping up a feeble Yemeni government and Iran supporting the Houthi rebels. The Biden administration has a historic opportunity to change the U.S. role in Yemen from arms broker under the previous administration to peacemaker. Biden now has a chance to mobilize the world to push for an immediate nationwide ceasefire and to pressure the Houthi rebels to stop their offensive in Ma'rib back to the negotiating table. In the end, a key question is to be raised. Will Yemenis accept the sharp turn in the United States policy and view Washington as a neutral and trustworthy diplomatic broker? That seems quite hard to predict.
The Houthi rebels is sectarian in its essence. They give themselves privilege over other people. This report sheds light on the racist nature of the Houthi movement.
Whoever does not owe obedience to the Houthis is corrupt and should be purged from state institutions. This is the standard for the leader of the Houthi militia who directed the purification of state agencies, from whom he called corrupt. In a particular translation of these directives, the militia continued to target members of the security services by demobilizing about 150 members of the National Security Service and replacing them with others who received their training at the hands of experts from Hezbollah. The militia announced last Tuesday the dismissal of 904 officers from the police forces and security after accusing them of working abroad. If someone does not raise his hand to chant the ominous cry and attend the sectarian courses organized by the militia in state institutions, then he is an agent and a traitor in the eyes of the deadly militia. Local sources reported that the liquidation campaign will not stop at the point, and based on the meetings of the so-called Supreme Police Council in Sanaa, another committee was assigned. It is headed by the Houthi leaders working within the militia's interior to complete the inventory of the names of the remaining officers and individuals who are not loyal, to intake their dismissal from their jobs as part of plans and directions for the next stage. The same sources confirmed that the majority of officers who were recently targeted for no reason from their jobs are in the militia's areas of control and have suffered scourge and deprivation in their homes for years. While most of the elements that the militia intends to replace the official security officers were staying in Iran and Lebanon and returned to the country, during the chaos of 2011 they managed all the militia's security operations. The Iranian-backed militia seems to continue complete modernization of the security services in its areas of control, to make it a sword hanging over the necks of Yemenis and to tighten its security, political and cultural grip on society.
A number of outstanding students who were excluded by the Houthi militia from studying at the Higher Institute of Judiciary staged a protest in one of the cemeteries in Sanaa to bury their dreams in an expressive pose for their discontent and frustration with the militia's acts that target judiciary system. Houthi rebels rejected a large number of applicants to join the institute but accepted those loyal to them.
We came here to bury our dreams and ambitions. I got first in my class in Sanaa University and applied to the Higher Institute of the Judiciary. But when I and some of my colleagues went for the personal interview, we were rejected.
Houthi rebels are accused of brainwashing children and sending them to different frontiers. Field reports and media confessions made by the Houthi militia confirmed the high number of children killed in suicide attacks in the absence of any actions taken by the international community and child protection organizations. The following report has more on that.
About the feeling of a child who lives normally in a stable country. They know not the joy, happiness and innocence that fill the heart of a little child who plays and thinks only about toys. All they know in the war-ravaged country is the resonance of bombs, the rattling of strikes, and the redness of blood. This fact is seen by the eyes of the Yemeni boys and girls. They get into a war that had nothing to give them but fear. They even are used by the Houthis to stoke and prolong the war. They are brainwashed and forced to a battlefield. They do not understand anything about it. Yemeni children are used as human shield in the war fronts. Human rights-related reports accounted that Houthis are recruiting children in war. My own report on childhood in Yemen for the past half of the year documented that 640 children were killed aging 13 to 17 after being recruited by the Houthi militias. The Human Rights Organization reported the killing of 333 children in the past 6 months, especially in Sanaa, Zimar, and Hajjah. Adding to those killed, Mune documented about 3,400 injuries among children in Yemen. A number of 155 children from those who have been killed were awarded military ranks. All these facts show that Houthi rebels are conducting brainwashing campaign against Yemeni innocent children.
Coming next. الجنبية, an ancient heritage symbol of social prestige and a mean to resolve conflict.
ثالث دي على منطقة الروضة، استهدف الأطفال الأبرياء اللي يلعبوا في الشارع، يدعي للسلام يقول له للسلام يقتل أطفالنا، يقتل أطفالنا الأبرياء.
أنا قلت افتجعت ولا أقول معي واحد صاروخ ثاني، طلعت البيت حقنا. عشان أنا ألعب أنا وأصحابي والصاروخ انطرح.
Welcome back. The humanitarian sector in the national resistance launched the second phase of the project to distribute 5,000 food baskets by providing emergency food aid. The humanitarian team distributed 150 baskets on a number of residents of Al-Hawk in Hodeidah. Those food baskets were provided by the leader of the national resistance, General Tariq Muhammad Abdullah Saleh, to the people of Mandar village in Al-Hawk. The first phase of this project started last July to reach all poor families throughout the West Coast. Local authorities in Ma'rib indicated that 7,853 families living in refugee camps were affected by heavy rains. Hundreds of camps were affected either partially or totally because of the heavy rains that hit the city during this month. The Yemeni Jambiya is an authentic heritage piece of art in which Yemenis wear as part of their traditional dress. However, it is also considered as a mean of resolving disputes and creating social peace.
The Yemeni dagger, Al-Jambiya, is an authentic heritage treasure that boasts its deep roots in history, and a masterpiece which its formulation combines a wide momentum of formal and color manifestations. Jambiya is not a fashion, but rather a popular heritage rooted in history, as it dates back to the kingdoms of Shiba and Himyari. Jambiya, in its current form, is placed on the waist and people compete to buy the best types. The old markets in different Yemeni cities are full of various antique and historical Yemeni daggers, and perhaps the old Sanaa markets are the favorite destination for many, because there are families who have prospered the Janabi industry hundreds of years ago and inherited it from their ancestors.
We have been working in the Jambiya industry for thousands of years, where we inherited the craft from our ancestors. Yemeni daggers are many and different, as there are families who store their own daggers that date back to more than 600 years.
The industry goes through several stages, starting with carving the handle, the head of the Jambiya in a manual way, specially made of precious rhino horns, the price of 1 kilo of which reaches $1,500, passing through the cultivation and then installing the sharp blade, to be placed in a sheath surrounded by a belt known as the asib.
على شكل جنبي زي ما هذا الشكل.
Jambia making begins with several stages, the first of which is to carving the horn to form the jambia shape, then the process cultivation of the handle. Then the sharp blade is installed, and finally we add silver, which is considered an accessory for the dagger. Designing jambia is done in stages, where each person works and focuses on only one stage in order to finish it in a faster time. Because the only one person is making the jambia, it will take more time. Jambia handle is made from merino horn, but it is now banned, yet there are other alternatives from Africa and India.
Although the jambia is a white weapon that is prevented to acquire in other world countries, in Yemeni society it is considered as part of the Yemeni traditional dress, as people wear them to attend weddings and social gatherings. Also, it represents in the tribal tradition as the mean to reform and resolve conflict between people. Modernity and civilization have not affected the value and the status of al-jambia, as the demand for it continues. The jambia will always remain a part of the Yemeni character that adheres to its heritage, while it is considered as a symbol of prestige and strength.
Sanaa, a UNESCO World Heritage City that was a destination for tourists from around the world, but now it tails the list because of the Houthi war in Yemen and heritage. This report looks at the beauty of this historic city, which has been distorted by the Houthi rebels.
Sanaa is the capital of Yemen, a historic city that was one day a destination for tourists before the Houthi rebels' incursion in 2014. The old city of Sanaa has been inhabited for over 2,500 years. It is famous for its unique architecture, those distinctive multi-story towers with delicate designs. Looking into the historical roots of Sanaa shows that the city has housed people according to archaeological research back since 1.6 million years. The city is located 2,350 meters above sea level in a mountain valley that controls trade routes. The historic buildings in the city of Sanaa are a material record of its history. It maintained its architecture, residential and religious buildings, its markets, streets, and squares. Sanaa offers a vivid example of Islamic cities of the Middle Ages. In 1986, UNESCO named the Old City of Sanaa a World Heritage. The Old City of Sanaa is defined by extraordinary brick towers rising several stories. These buildings are 4 to 9 stories high. They emerge from a network of markets, neighborhoods, tall minarets, and narrow streets. The Old City of Sanaa, however, met difficulties, especially rainfall. According to UNESCO, in August 2020, rain damaged thousands of its 6,400 houses. The damage compounds as a result of long-term degradation, ongoing conflict, and lack of maintenance. And now, after Sanaa boasted its status as the third tourist city in the world, it tailed the list because of the Houthi war on Yemen and heritage.
The National Committee Against Coronavirus announced the registration of 35 new cases of the epidemic in 5 governorates. The committee said on Twitter that 16 cases were recorded in Hadramaut, 5 in Ma'rib, 4 in Aden, 9 in Taiz, and 1 in Al-Mahra. Also 3 deaths were documented, 2 in Hadramaut and 1 in Taiz, plus 16 recovered cases, all in Aden. With the current updates, the total confirmed cases are 7,414, including 1,414 deaths and 4,589 cases of recovery. Here's a reminder of the main headlines. Government forces attack Houthi militia in Eldora while the rebels continue bombing homes in Hodeidah. The U.S. administration reprioritizes Yemen in its foreign policy agenda. Houthi militia excludes students from joining Higher Institute of Judiciary in Sanaa. This is the end of the news. Thank you for watching.